Good morning everyone, I'm Jacob Wolki from Wolki Farm and we just got 11 new Angus steers. So these boys just turned up this morning. Our stock agent found them. Stock have been a bit scarce around the place and we've been needing a few more numbers. And the delivery driver that dropped them off this morning made the comment they just came off their mothers. So they've been bellowing all day, which would explain that. Pretty ruthless just to pull them off and send them off on a truck. That's alright, they'll fall into line here pretty quick. And they're pretty skittish, they're nothing like our other ones, but getting down there with our crew, they will fall in line really quickly. The matriarchs, the dairy cows, will show them the ropes, and once they get the hang of being lovingly moved daily onto beautiful fresh ground, I think they'll be very happy here. We normally keep the new arrivals in the yards for a day or so, just to crap out any weed seeds or whatever from where they've came, and let them settle down. And then we're going to push them down. We're going to cut a lane straight down to the western side of the farm and join them up with the main herd, see how they go. What do you think, T-Bone?
Oh, pretty good. Pretty good.
You got a few puppies here with you today.
Yep.
We got Luna there, so she's got 6-week-old puppies at the house. She's pregnant, and she's good for nothing. That's your gun-shy hunting dog that's been desexed, so adds no value. It's the weakest link on the farm, that dog.
Yeah. She loves eating.
The next day.
Good morning. I showed you the footage just then of our steers arriving. That was yesterday, back at the farm. And these cattle are not quite tame. They're pretty wild actually. We let them out into a bigger yard yesterday and they're running all around the place, getting pretty loose, and like we said, they've just been pulled off mum, so they're pretty loud. So we're going to win their trust and affection over the coming weeks as they get used to our daily moves, and they're going to really enjoy that because it's beautiful fresh forage all the time, and whenever we see them it's a good news story. But in the meantime, I need their respect, and we're going to get their respect by training them to a Hotwire, and we're going to run a really hot wire. I'm going to show you how we do it here at the farm and explain a little bit about why we do it. Right, so this is my little toolkit, bit of a mixed match of gears, but I've got a little energizer if I need it. A couple of little rolls of poly braid, bit early, but it'll all make sense. Some tin snips. So we're up at the yards. We've locked the cattle in the corral overnight because in the past we've had experience with new cattle breaking through fences overnight because they're jumpy and they don't know the lay of the place. This is an extension of a holding yard, and we actually have a little apiary set up here with a couple flow hives, and I'm going to set their training wire up around that because we have had issues in the past with them knocking down our rickety little gate fence. We had a hive in the middle here that got knocked over last year and actually killed the hive, so we're going to kill two birds with one stone. Hi boys. So why do I want my cows respect? In the fear sense, I'll gain their respect in a love sense, which is the sort of respect we're used to with our human relationships. But why do I want a fear respect in the sense that I'm training them to be scared of a wire? Because a couple reasons. I need to be able to control them in the paddock with a single strand of poly braid and move them where I want them, and if they're not familiar with the power of it, they'll walk right through it and will set off a really bad habit from the get-go, and they won't be easy to handle, especially once they get through it that first couple of times. We're really building in a psychological barrier, not a physical barrier as a traditional fence. But we're right near a pretty main road, folks. Just 500 meters north of behind me here is the old highway out to the Weir, 110 kilometre an hour zone. And if a steer gets out there through our fence because they don't respect our structure here, even though our perimeter fences are good, if they get out there, someone's going to die, a car's going to get totaled, and a cow's going to die, and it's going to be really pretty, and it's our duty of care to make sure that doesn't happen. And if we have to train the cattle to lick a fence carrying 10,000 volts once or twice to stop that from happening, it's going to be fine. The livestock need to know and understand the boundaries, just as children need to understand and feel boundaries to feel safe. So do our stock. So I'm testing the fence here, and I'm not going to bring in my little second energizer because the fence here is throwing 7,500 volts. Our energizer pushes out 10, and obviously it changes around the farm in different places, but 7,500 is going to be fine to train these boys, especially with the surprise I've got in store for them. So I'll set up our Kiwi Tech stakes really close here, just a short strip. Just going to run the poly braid through it. As you're unreeling braid, you're going to want to hang it off a part of the fence that isn't carrying a charge if you're dealing with a live fence. And I like to hang it off a part of the fence that's lower, because if you hang it off a higher one, if you give it some slack, it can hang down and hit it and still carry charge. 7,500 volts isn't pretty. Hooked up there, fairly taunt. Got a surprise for you boys. All right, time for step 2. Righto, here's what we're doing. We're going to thread a couple aluminium cans onto the poly braid. You can do it 2 ways. You can punch a hole in the bottom and just thread it through, but I don't want to take the handle off. So I've just cut a slit on it. I've just wrapped it around. The reason we're doing this is if you spend any time with cattle, you know that they will lick and eat and chew and rub on anything. This is shiny. It's at eye height or just beneath eye height for them, so they're going to come and have a look and a sniff, and they're going to associate it with the poly braid. They're going to give it a lick, so the wettest part of their tongue rather. They've got a wet nose, which will also kick them, but they're going to wrap their tongue around this, and they're going to get a good old jolt. And if they've got any brains about them, that'll be the only jolt they ever need on this farm, and we're done. So we've got 3 cans up along the fence, and just give them a squeeze, bend them in a little bit so they don't fall off. I know how many I've got, so if any go missing I can check the paddock for them. You want to check so I'm going to make it live now. I hook it on the other side of the isolator compared to the direction it's going, because I'm going back to my left, I'm going to hook it on the right. So hook it on the left, it just slides out of the way. See that? There's nothing holding it. And it loses its tension that I've set it with. So we hook it on the right. Now we know this is carrying 7,500. What's this carrying? We're getting most of it. Plus the little extra surprise. Let's see what happens. We do not do this with every load of livestock we get. This is not a common thing for us. Dairy cows that we get to do our dairy aged beef definitely don't need it. They're normally very well trained and they're older, more mellow, more mature, very calm, used to human interaction and used to being moved a couple times a day. A lot of steers come off farms that have a healthy respect for it. You don't need it either. But these guys don't seem to know it too well. And as we said, they're 400 kilos and they've been delivered just off their mums. So they've had access to their mums the whole time. So they're being weaned at the same time as being introduced to a foreign farm. And they're not very happy about it. So we want to get them out in the paddocks ASAP to cut down shore time and to get them grazing. So this is what we're going to do. So I'm just opening up to let them out of the yard here. We locked them up again overnight, like I said. And I've got them locked into this corral. And I'm going to stand here and just give them a little bit of time to see if they can find that cable and show you guys a reaction. Let's push them out. Had a fair bit of rain lately. It's been a great autumn and it's been a perfect autumn and a soggy start to winter. Come on. Attaboy. 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 See how their piles are steaming? Attaboy. So they know how to get out because they've already been out before. It's right near some of the first cans. So I'm just going to hang out quietly and see what they do. They're being extra loud. And the farm across the road runs big Angus, so I was wondering if they think that's Mummy. Let's see if these steers like Carlton Draft. Aren't they gorgeous? They're looking at the fence, and a couple of them are very close to the cans. So, just about finished my chores here at the farm. Need to put my jock stock, represent. Woohoo! I sat there watching the steers for quite a while, and no one licked the cans, which could mean two things. One, they'll just do it later when I'm not watching, or two, they've already got respect for the can, for the fence rather, in which case, no harm, no foul, as you were. Thank you very much. So, thanks for watching. If you get some really unruly steers, stick with me. If they were really buck wild crazy, I would do a fence inside the perimeter of the actual stockyards, the corral, so if they get kicked, they can buck and stuff, and they're just pushed up against those gates, which would give them another kick because there's a hot wire right there. But thanks for watching. See you soon. What are you getting? Hey, stop. What do you do with them?
I don't teach them that
Show-
they like them.
Show me how you eat them. Show me how. Do it. You chew the bottoms. Is it nice and sour?
They kind of fall off top.
Hey, listen. If you pick all of them, there'll be none left for tomorrow. So maybe we'll leave a few there, yeah? Pick that one, last one. Okay, let's leave the rest. No more. That's enough. And then when we come back tomorrow, there's some there tomorrow. Good boy.